What's up, Dad Bod Nation? Dad Bod Steve. We got another great story for you guys today. Someone who came to my school and talked to my kids, told them this story. He promised to come here and make sure that he told us the raw story. Someone who went through a hard time with addiction and went through recovery, now a huge staple in the recovery community here in Utah, helps people left and right. When they come out of recovery, get them jobs, helps them with food. Someone who is respected here in Utah greatly. Welcome, Sean Castleberry. Sean, thanks so much for coming.
You're welcome, man. It was quite the experience going to the school, man.
Of course.
Sometimes the reason I share my story is because it's my way of giving back, right? If I can help one person, then I feel like my mission's complete. And when I went to the school, both me and Kaylee left there with like our cups just filled, man. It was just an incredible experience.
That is awesome. And that's one of the points of the entire podcast, right? Is
absolutely.
We're going to reach one person. It's just a big, domino.
Yeah. When you do things like this, you know what I mean? I think it's one of the biggest acts of service that you can do. If it just one person can relate, you know what I mean? Because we all go through so many things, you know what I mean?
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
My name's Sean Castleberry. I'm the vice president of the local nonprofit Addicts Fighting Back. I grew up right here in Springville, and I have 8.5 years clean off substances.
Congratulations.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And I just, try to take it a day at a time and see what life brings. Life's thrown me some crazy curveballs that we'll get here in the story, but it's crazier than my wildest dreams, man.
That is awesome. Go ahead. Let's start it out at the beginning. You grew up here in Springville, you just said that. So what was life like here in Springville growing up? Family, siblings?
I was actually born in Provo.
Okay.
We lived in Provo till I was about 2. And like I shared at the school, my parents divorced when I was 2. And my dad had packed his things and moved to California. And so, again, my mom was like a single mom. I need to kind of reframe that from the school, but I wouldn't say single, but the guys in her life and my life weren't really great role models, right? So when I tell my story, I always view my mom as a single mom. But we moved to Springville. She ended up getting remarried to my little brother's dad, and we moved to Springville. I think I was in 2nd grade.
Okay.
And I mean, life was pretty normal for a typical Utah kid. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of LDS influence and, but my mom worked hard, and so she was working a lot of hours, and so I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. I had an uncle that was 8 years older than me and an uncle that was 6 years older than me, and so they took on that role model role, and they taught me a lot of things that I needed as a kid. You know what I mean? How to play sports. Like I was huge into sports. Any season, basketball, baseball, football, whatever it was, like that's what we did here in Springville back in the day. Was we were outside playing whatever sport it was in season, and we played until the porch light came on. You know what I mean?
It's a 90s babies thing.
Yeah.
80s and 90s.
We
were always outside.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember here in Springville, there wasn't even as many houses on the hill as there was now. They were all fields, and we would take our BB guns and we would ride our bikes and our fishing poles for hours, just hours, just running around in this town. It's kind of nostalgic being here. But so just a lot of, I would like to call it a normal childhood. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up poor, but like my mom provided, like, I always had nice back to school clothes. Like I always had a fresh pair of Jordans on my feet to go back to school in. And my mom worked hard for all that. When I was 11 years old, and again, I didn't talk to my dad. Sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. I didn't talk to my dad until I was 8. I remember vaguely, that he started like communicating through letters and through the telephone. And, I actually flew out to California when I was 8 years old to see him. And again, the next following summer. And eventually he ended up moving back to Utah, and he lived in Moab, but it was still like a distant relationship. You know what I mean? Like I would go out there during the summer and really, like, not to sound harsh, but that was it. Like I never got Christmas presents. I never got like calls on my birthday. Like it was my mom would have to tell me, hey, did you talk to your dad today? And I would have to call him on Christmas, or I would have to call him on my birthday. You know what I mean? Like, I think I can count on one hand how many birthday presents I've got from my dad in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that played a lot into the abandonment issues that I deal with and that I've had to deal with. And that played a heavy role in my addiction. Like, it's like I said at the school, like, to those teen boys, like I grew up a, with the mindset like you're just going to leave like my dad did. You know what I mean? I put up walls and I grew like this hardened shell because like that's how I felt. Like you're going to come into my life and you're just going to leave. You're going to leave me. You know what I mean? It played a big role in a lot of my relationships through active addiction with women and why they. I mean, not the only reason why they were toxic, but it played a role in why they were toxic. But sorry, go ahead.
I said, yeah, that like a lot of people. I think it's a common thing when it comes to addiction. There's an abandonment or an abuse situation, right?
Yeah.
I see that a lot with a lot of the people that I've been talking to.
Yeah, it's like you don't until I got started getting clean and like going to therapy and working with therapists and working with counselors and stuff. Like I didn't even realize that that's what it was. You know what I mean? Like I eventually was taught what abandonment was by a good, great therapist. And it was like, oh, okay, Um, my first major trauma, besides my parents divorcing and my dad taking off when I was 11 years old, I was walking home from school here in Springville. I was in fifth grade. I remember it vividly. It was 1994. And I got home and my mom was like, I think she was on the floor, like crying. If she wasn't on the floor, she was sitting on the couch and she was sobbing. And it took me a minute to get out of her what was going on. And she told me that my uncle Lance had passed away from heroin overdose. And because I was so close to him, dude, I was devastated. I was absolutely crushed. He died of a heroin overdose mixed with cocaine. And in 1994, like that wasn't popular in this. I didn't know at 11 years old what heroin and cocaine was. You know what I mean? And like one of the hardest things I had to do was carry my uncle's casket at 11 years old. It was a great honor to be. I don't know very many 11-year-olds that are pallbearers, maybe honorary pallbearers. Yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, I looked at him as a parent in a way. And that crushed me. And that was about the time when I started to rebel. Like early 90s rap, you know what I mean? Like I said before, Tupac, Biggie, like I thought I was just this little gangster and I was running around Springville with the Polynesians. Springville's like way big for the Polynesian community. My best friends were Polynesian. His little brother was Polynesian. They were my closest friends. The one ended up dying from a heroin overdose. But like, like growing up with Polynesians and you're the white boy, like they send you to go start fights with everybody else. And, I just started to rebel. Like I was still really good in school. Like I still was serious about school. I was still serious about sports. But I just kind of started to dabble in like smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, staying at friends' house on the weekends. Like I had a friend whose mom was not really involved with what we were doing. You know what I mean? That was like the party house. We'd go there, get smashed on the weekends. And that's like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. When I was 15 years old, I had friends with fake IDs and right here in Springville, side of 7-Eleven, we thought we were cool. Send the friend in with the fake ID to go get these big 40-ounce bottles, put them in the brown paper sack, pants sagging, hat sideways, sitting on the side of 7-Eleven, drinking a 40-ounce. And the cops rolled up. And for some reason, my dad was in town that weekend. You know what I mean? And just the rebel in me was like, okay, well, I'm not going to give him my mom's number. I'm going to give him my dad's number because what's he going to do? He's never punished me a day in his life. He ain't going to punish me now. You know what I mean? And I mean, he did end up calling my mom. I got in some trouble for it, but like, that's just that mentality at a young age. I've shared this in my story all the time. It just like ignited a sense of untouchable here in Springville. Like if you're an athlete here in Springville, you've ever seen the movie Varsity Blues? You know how like the football team, they can go out on the town and cause ruckus because there's not going to be any repercussions as long as you're going to school and you're in class. It doesn't matter if you got your head down on the desk and you're sleeping. As long as you're there, you're going to graduate and you're going to play football. And that's how life was for my teen years. Like I was out causing trouble. We were fighting constantly. after Springville basketball games, we would go to like Hobble Creek Golf Course or out here in the fields before your house was here, and we would fight the other schools. We were even on the news one time. They called it this. They called it. We were the Springville Fan Club, but they called us the Springville Fight Club. And yeah, dude, I was just a little thug.
Back then was a fight club, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We had the fight clubs under Center Street Bridge.
Yeah,
freeway,
yeah.
Right, and it was always a fight club, but maybe 2 or 3 kids fought, but it was always a fight club. So that was kind of big in the '90s when the movie came out with Brad Pitt and everything. But let's jump in. So you've already dabbled in cigarettes, you dabbled in alcohol. What was your first experience with illegal drugs? Right? How did you get introduced to that, and like what kind of caused you to go down that path?
I mean, because of my uncle's death for a long time, like I was scared to death to try illicit drugs. You know what I mean? Heroin, cocaine. I don't even remember meth back then. You know what I mean? Heroin and cocaine. Like I was like terrified to try that. And I think around like 16, 17, 18, like I just started smoking weed occasionally. You know what I mean? Weekend parties, I'd like start smoking weed. And I didn't slough school. Like there was this house that a lot of my friends would go slough school at. It was right down the road from the high school. And I would just go there after school and dabble, or go there on Friday nights and dabble, or Saturday day and Saturday night and dabble. You know what I mean? But I was pretty straight until 18 years old. I'm an older senior, so my birthday's in September. So I turned 18 at the first of my senior year.
Yeah, me too.
You know, most people were like still 17 all through senior year. And it goes back to even 16. Like I was one of the first people to have a car. You know what I mean? And I remember vividly, I was in welding class. And so in our welding class at Springville High, sorry to anybody who, I hope Springville High doesn't get in trouble for this, but in our welding class, like you had the classroom and then you had this big shop that was in the back. And like the shop had like these welding booths that had curtains, and they had these fans. And so you could go in those booths and you could smoke weed in there, and it would suck everything, the smell, everything. There was no evidence that what you were doing. And it was the time that Oxycontin became popular. And I remember like some kids like were sniffing Oxycontin on the desk because the teacher was clear in the other end of the shop. And I was just like, let me try that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instantly had me by the balls. And then it turned into like getting in my friend's mom's medicine cabinet. Like me and him would go in his mom's medicine cabinet. She had Xanax. We would take that and take that to our parties on the weekend, try that. And then it just kind of gradually like increased like the usage, you know what I mean? Like, of course, Oxycontin's rich man's heroin, you know what I mean? It's quick. Snatch you up. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. My uncle that was 6 years older than me, we're still really close. He was struggling with Oxycontin at the time. He was going to doctors and getting multiple prescriptions from here, from Las Vegas, from all around. And he was actually one of the major dealers in this area at the time. And I looked up to him. So that's where I was on the weekends, and that's what I did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's just when it took off from there, like 18, 19, 20s. That addiction just took off.
Just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
So he started dealing. Did you get involved with that?
Absolutely. I loved that lifestyle. As soon as I could figure out that I could sell drugs to support my habit and to support going to the strip clubs, going to the mall and buying all the fresh gear, all the Jordans, all the hats, all the watches. As soon as I found out that I could do that, and that was my hustle, dude. Like I loved that lifestyle for the longest time. It was an easy lifestyle. You know what I mean? It came easy. I just had to hang out with the people that I was hanging out with, and it was all around. Like it was, you could go to Las Vegas and you could get Oxycontin for $12 a piece, and you could come back here to Utah County and sell them for $80 a piece. And we're getting bagfuls of pills. You know what I mean? The money just came way easy.
Were you guys doing that with like fake prescriptions, or were you guys just going and buying them on the street and then flipping it?
So we knew a guy that lived here that was funding an operation in Las Vegas where he would pay homeless people, other addicts to go into pain clinics and fake an injury and come out, and then he would buy what they got from the doctor. And of course, like he would keep them sick. He would keep them on the leash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's funding this. They don't got to pay anything. It's supporting their habit. And so it just had that trickle down effect to here, Utah County, Salt Lake County, all over.
That is crazy.
It's wild. It's wild. And of course, it's going to suck you right in. You know what I mean? I never had a job. It was just the easy way to make money. And it was the fast life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And when you, how do I want to say this? When you guys started dealing, did you stay in Utah County or did you go to Salt Lake or did you travel all over? Was it a big thing or were you kind of like
centralized? For the listeners, like I don't want to make myself out to be this big fish because I wasn't the big fish. You know what I mean? I was just a middleman. I did just enough to keep what I had to use in my pocket and to keep that money that I like for my lifestyle in my pocket. You know what I mean? Never had a job, like I said. But then the people above me, the people I hung out with, you know, they were even bigger. Major crimes, like was raiding them. And it's funny because like a couple years ago I was playing softball on this team and one of my teammates is like, hey, do you know who I am? And I was like, no. He's like, I was major crimes. And he's like, we just watched you for the longest time so we could get the people above you and just never made our move on you. You know what I mean?
So you let him to him.
Yeah. Unknowingly. Yeah. But like I vividly remember major crimes kicking in my uncle's door multiple times, kicking in my grandma's door multiple times. There was a point in time, everybody who's ever been an addict in Utah, especially the Springville area, knows who Officer Mendez is. He would sit down the road from my apartment and he would pull over like every single car that left my house, hoping to find something. And occasionally he'd find something, but nothing major. And he just never like made the move on me. Like there was one time when he followed me and my parents to my grandma's house on Thanksgiving. And like I got out the car and walked up to his window, cussed him out. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? You know, but it's weird. Like they just never made the move on me. You know what I mean? In the meantime, I'm getting arrested for multiple petty crimes, disorderly conduct, fighting, assaults, you know what I mean? But never got busted for distribution at that time.
So when you guys were doing it, I'm sure you guys had run-ins with the law though while you were doing it.
Yeah.
Like what were some of the times like when you first started getting in trouble with the law? What were the repercussions? And then how did you guys kind of come back into that lifestyle after, leaving maybe jail or if you ever went to county or anything? Like what was the mindset going into that all this time? Like, oh, I got busted for drugs. Now I got to get back out and kind of do it again. Like what was going on through your face?
I know that this sounds silly now, but like I was a thug, you know what I mean? So like I was untouchable. It was like, fuck the police, you know what I mean? Yeah. And my uncle he got a couple distribution charges and did more time, but when he did his time, he would just, relay a message to where everything was. And I would just kind of keep them customers happy for a little bit. But like I said, I went to jail for disorderly conducts and thefts and stealing from stores or whatever and spend a night in jail, 2 days in jail, 7 days in jail, whatever, and get right back out and pick up where you left off.
So you never had to really serve that?
No, nothing crazy until later.
Let's get into that. So when was the first time you really got busted for something big, had to go to court, and then they really kind of, not a slap on the wrist, but they really put it to you, and probably changed your mindset a little bit?
Well, so this comes with a little bit of a story. So I meet a girl and she is, and keep in mind, I've like had multiple relationships before this with women and drug history and using together, but we'll skip ahead to this part. So I meet this girl named Nicole, and when I met her, she was like a normie, you know what I mean? She was a drinker. Like she liked to party and drink on the weekends and go to parties, but she had never like been involved with pills. Right. And so when I meet her and like, I'm like, okay, well, look, you want to try this? And I'm this big dealer, yada, 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 trying to impress her. And we hit it off and like spent every waking minute together. We were together for multiple years. We end up getting married. Like, she gets pregnant. Right. And this is my first kid. And so at that time, like my mindset changed just a little bit. It was like, hey, like I need to do this right. You know what I mean? I'm about to have a kid. I don't want to be the dad that my dad was. I need to do things right. I'm going to go find a job and I'm going to settle down a little bit. And, like because of the drug use in the relationship, like it was just always like toxic fighting and like cops getting called, and I would go to jail for like a disorderly conduct for the night just so they could diffuse the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she we were like 5.5 months along. We're staying at her mom's house in the basement, and just like an unfinished basement, just like not the way to be living when she's 5 months along. She ended up getting in a fight with her mom and took a tumble down the stairs, and it caused some bleeding. And we took her to the doctor. The doctor was monitoring her for a few days, maybe a few weeks. And just one day the bleeding got really, really bad. Like she was laying in bed screaming in pain. She had a fever like so bad that her skin was red. Like she had her feet up in the air in this like weird position, just trying to get comfortable. And I'm like, you know what? I'm taking you to the hospital. And I took her to Payson Hospital, and it was on a Tuesday. And they like instantly showed compassion. They took her upstairs. They hooked her right up to labor and delivery. They hooked her up to every monitor, a team of nurses in and out, doctors in and out. And they decided that she was well enough to go home. And they said, you know what, we're just going to put you on bed rest. We're going to monitor you closely, come back, check in with your normal doctor, whatever, yada, yada, yada. And, they sent us home, and by Friday, nothing had changed. And so I took her back to the Payson Hospital, same hospital, right into the emergency room. I'm telling them, hey, this is what happened on Tuesday. It's only been 4 days. Can we get back up there and check it out again? And this time they treated us like junkies. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are in here seeking meds. You're really not that sick. You're really not that much in pain. And she's like it's obvious to anybody that she's not right. And they left her down in the emergency room screaming for like 4 or 5 hours until they finally admitted her upstairs. And as soon as they admitted her upstairs, the doctor came in. He's like, look, man, he's like, there's nothing we can do. We're going to have to deliver this baby. His lungs aren't going to be fully developed. And she had him, and he lived for like an hour. Like, we held him for an hour until his little heart stopped beating. And yeah, it's a part of my story, man. I wouldn't be the man who I am today without this story, right? And instantly I just like went downstairs and called my guys and was like, hey, I need something delivered to the hospital. I need to get loaded. Right. And we went back to that same lifestyle of like couch surfing and, house hopping and her parents' house. And, just like the same, like fighting, going to jail here. Like I said to the kids, I've been booked into Utah County Jail over 25 times, and it was all like petty stuff, right? Well, then she gets pregnant again. And when she got pregnant again, like this time, that same thought goes into my head, like, hey, like, you had one chance. Here's another chance. Like, let's do something different. Go get a job. And this is about the time that Suboxone came out, right? So then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop with the Oxycontin, and I'm going to go get on Suboxone. And so I went to a doctor. I got a prescription of Suboxone, and I was getting 3 Suboxone pills a day. I could get really loaded on one pill, and I could sell 2 pills, put some money in my pocket, put some food in the house, whatever. We went and got an apartment. It was like $500 for a 2-bedroom apartment back then. And, so yeah. So like, I have the same like hustler mentality. Sure, I'm trying to hold down a job. It's not working very well because I would do up my prescription or sell up my prescription before it was time to go back to the doctor. So I would experience withdrawal symptoms, and I would lose a job because I would call in, right? And then I got on a prescription of Xanax with it too. And those were like my precious, you know what I mean? I'm not selling these. I'm going to take the whole prescription in 4 days. And it was just a terrible lifestyle. Anyways, sorry with that backstory, but to get to the question you asked, I come home from work one day, and she didn't think she was losing her baby weight fast enough. And so she went to the doctor, and they gave her a diet pill. It was phentermine. If you look at the bottle of phentermine, the generic name for it is amphetamine. And so we're opiate addicts. Now she's using this amphetamine, you know what I mean? So now she's on speed. I'm still an opiate addict, and we just would clash, like so many fights. I remember the phentermine prescription was supposed to be a 30-day thing, and she broke them in half, and it would last like 60 days. It was like 60 or 90 days. And then when it was gone, I would come home from work, and she would be like crashed. Like there was no waking her up. Like you could blow up the house and she would sleep through it. And we had that newborn baby. And so I would come home and the baby would be crying and like need change, need a bottle, whatever. And I'm like, Nicole, like wake up. Like, can you not hear him? And it would just cause fights and fights. And it got to the point where I didn't even want to go to work no more because I didn't trust her. And so it got to a period of homelessness where we were like house hopping again. And we got introduced to the low income hotels in Provo. And so I take the kids. She had an 8-year-old at the time. The 8-year-old went to grandma's house. I went to the hotels with my son and her, and because it was like the only thing I knew, you know what I mean? Like I just was trying to put a roof over his head, and and she stayed with the same thing. It was like Adderall for a while, and that turned into meth. And when it turned into meth, like she would disappear for 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 days. And then she would come back, and she had been up so long that she would literally be in this like psychosis. You know what I mean? And in full transparency, like I was dabbling in that stuff, right? But that wasn't my cup of tea. I was still opiates, and she was meth. And this one particular time she came back to the hotel room. She was dead set that I had a woman in the hotel room. And come on, guys, you know how big a hotel room is. It's only so big. It's only one bed and one bathroom.
About the size of this room that we're in right now.
Yeah, with a Bible drawer next to the bed. And she really thought that I had a woman stuffed in the drawer. Like that was her mindset. That's how big a psychosis she was in. There's a girl in here. I know there's a girl in here. Lifting. Yeah. And she went to the counter. There was a pair of scissors on the counter. I don't even know why we had a pair of scissors in the hotel room, but there was a pair of scissors on the counter. She took the pair of scissors, cut across her arm deep, and hopped on the hotel phone, called 911, said my husband stabbed me. The hotels at the time were like a major party scene. The low income hotels, they were known. Like everybody, a lot of people in that's experienced addiction in Utah knows about Third South and the hotels. It was a party scene. So I went outside. It was the summer. I went outside because there was people outside, and my mindset was that I wanted people to see that I wasn't putting hands on her. And I didn't know at the time, but the guy that she had been running around with using for that week was outside. And when I said, hey guys, like, will someone come see that I'm not putting hands on Nicole? Obviously he's in some state of psychosis, right? So he hears hands on Nicole and now he wants to fight me. And I'm a fighter, man. And so we start fist fighting. I have him on the ground. I'm standing over the top of him, hitting him, and Provo police rolls around the corner. I can see it today. You know what I mean? They come rolling around the corner. They see me. I'm obviously the suspect of the call. You know what I mean? I'm the aggressor of this fight. Yeah. They throw me in handcuffs, throw me in the back of the car. Didn't even search me. Just put me in the back of the car. And my son was there. He was inside the hotel room. And they put me in the back of the car. They do their little investigation. I had pills in my pocket. It was 2014. So possession of a controlled substance was a felony at that time. And they do their investigation and they find out that I didn't stab her. So they're going to let me go. You know what I mean? They get everybody's story. They see that I'm not really the aggressor. I was kind of just protecting myself. You know what I mean? No. So they uncuff me. And for some reason, I've never had this happen to me. It'll never happen again this way. But for some reason, when he uncuffed me, he decided to put me up against the car and search me. And he found the pills, and I got charged with a felony that day. Obviously, she was in no state of mind for the cops to leave my son with him and her, whatever. So they took my son. They took me to jail. I was like 19 days into that jail stay. I think it was like a 60-day stay that time around. First major one, like you said. Yeah. And I was like 19 days in, and DCFS came in. They pulled me in a little room. They're like, hey, when the cops took you, they took Braden to her mom's house. Her mom decided that she couldn't deal with a toddler. So her cousins took him. They couldn't have kids of their own. So they were looking to adopt, right? So they took him. And I think, like I said, I think I did 60 days in jail, but now I'm a felon. Now I have a probation officer to check into, right? But I like got out of jail and I was still that thug, you know what I mean? And I called him on the phone. It was the first time I used a needle that day when I got out of jail. Put a needle in my arm, sniffed some Xanax, feeling invincible. I called them up and I'm like, hey, I'm coming to get Braden. Like, you're not going to stop me. If you tell me no, I'm coming to your house. I'm going to kick in your door because that's who I am. And I'm going to take him. and it scared him, man. I haven't seen my son since that day.
I bet that scared him.
It was October 5th, 2014. I haven't seen my son since that day.
Have you ever talked to him since that day?
They reach out occasionally. She does. He's only 13, so he's still going to therapy for it. And we're leaving the decision up to him. And right now that decision is he's not ready. I've learned in my recovery that that's none of my business when he's ready, right? Yeah. I caused the wreckage, so it's none of my business when he's ready. It is a driving force and why I stay clean, because I got to be the best version of myself when he is ready. And when we left the school the other day, she messaged me and had watched the live, and she said, I'm going to show him this video. And like, I hope that maybe, because I guess he's not into like the same, I'm good. He's not into the same like thug lifestyle, but he's still a little bit of a rebel. He still thinks that rules don't apply to him. Yeah. And so she's like, I'm going to show him this video. And me and Kaylee were talking about it. I just hope that maybe he'll see the video and he'll see my story and see that I did the best that I could and the man I am today. And maybe it will spark something. So I get out of jail on that like 60-day stay, put a needle in my arm, do some thug shit. And I lived that way for a long time, just staying in the hotels, homeless, back to selling drugs.
You said this was back in 2014. Right?
Yeah, back to selling drugs. Now I've graduated to heroin. You know what I mean? Now I'm using heroin with an IV, straight to IV use of heroin.
And everyone who's told me about their first time with heroin, they said it's just completely different.
Same with Oxycontin. Like the statistics show that most people go from Oxycontin to heroin because it's a fraction of the cost. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's just that lifestyle for probably 3 or 4 more years, just bouncing around. And I learned that, and it's funny, this conversation came up today with somebody, but I learned that you could go to Salt Lake and it's a lot easier to sell drugs in Salt Lake. It's a lot easier to be homeless in Salt Lake. Like there's a lot more resources, if you want to call them resources, but you can sell drugs outside the shelter and go in and sleep at night. You know what I mean? You can go in and pass out, nod off, whatever. So that's where I made my way. I think it was like the summer of 2016. I'm on the run from probation. Like fuck it. I ain't checking in no more. I'm not driving down to Utah County to check in with my probation officer. I'm 30. They're just going to throw me in jail. Just a little backtrack. So I did go to jail on a probation violation. She's still in the picture a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like bits and pieces here. She's coming and staying with me for a couple of days. Yeah. She's coming and staying with me for a couple of days. She's taking off, same MO. Yeah. We're still married, but like same MO, same, I'm cheating, she's cheating, like it's not anything great. I remember fighting with her outside the shelter, and same thing, cops pull up, they run my name, I have a warrant, they take me down. I'm in Utah County. I'm in there like on a 60-day probation violation. And I end up going out to JI. It's the program in Utah County Jail where you're in a separate building. You're in your own street clothes. You sleep at the jail, but they take you and 10 other guys to a contract and you work all day. You get paid $2 an hour, whatever. You get a little bit of pocket money for commissary, a little bit of savings when you get out. I end up getting in fight at the freaking contract that we're working at. It's in Provo. It's called Rimports. I end up getting in a fight with these 2 dudes over coffee creamer and sugar, like a fist fight. Get caught. Coffee creamer and sugar. Just, something stupid that would happen in jail. You can't be disrespected, right? And I end up catching a felony assault on a prisoner. That one's a bitch, man. I can't even still get that one expunged right now. I have to go.
Still on your record?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I have 5 felonies on my record right now. I can start expunging them here soon. We'll get into that. But I pick up another felony, right? I want to get out of jail. I'm still an addict, so I want to get out of jail as fast as possible. So I plead to it. And, they bundle it all in with what I'm already doing. They cut me free. And I went back to survival mode. I went back to what I knew, like just that easy money, quick money, back up to Salt Lake. Actually, I think this time, so I get out of jail, and when I'm getting out of jail, my mom comes into the jail for a visit. She's like, hey, we're going to get you into sober living. Like sober livings were becoming popular. We're going to get you into sober living. You've had 60, 90 days of clean time. You know, you got a little bit of money from the JI program. We're going to get you into this sober living, go get a job. And I took it serious. Like I started going to meetings every day, like 2 or 3 meetings a day, looking for jobs, found a job, bought a car. But I still had like shitty behaviors. I think I pulled together like 9 months of clean time. I met this girl in Price. I was driving up to her house, fooling around with her, went and bought a car off the lot, and just like started like towing that line. You know what I mean? It was something that I dealt with for so long, just like that untouchable feeling that I talked about earlier, like just seeing what I could get away with. You know what I mean? I'm clean, but I'm still just a knucklehead. Rules don't apply to me. And I started coming home late, and eventually they got on me for coming home late. They put me on like a probation where I had to go to like 3 meetings a day, and I had an earlier curfew than everybody else. And the day that 7-day probation thing was up, I went back up to her house, came home late, got kicked out of the sober living. So now I have this car that's brand new, like it's only 40 days old. I'm not going to go to work. Like, what am I going to do? Like, I'm going to go back to what I know. And so I was sleeping on a friend's couch for a little while. The dealership called. They said, turn in your car. We won't charge you with a repo. Turned in the car. And I went down back to the hotels in Provo. I remember this vividly. I ended up scraping together some cash from some deals, you know what I mean? And I paid for the hotel room for 7 days. And I think I only stayed in the hotel room for like a day and a half before I was on the front runner back to Salt Lake. And just back to the block, back to the shelter, back to the selling drugs for the Hondurans. Yeah, easy money. You know what I mean? I'm sick. It's easy money. It feeds that addiction. I can do as much drugs as I want. I can put as much money in my pocket as I want. Don't have to worry about. I can run from probation. I can hide up there. You know what I mean? I can escape life. And I ended up picking up a distribution charge, and I had already picked up one on the block, and they lumped it in with those same charges on that same jail stay before I went to sober living. So now I pick up the second distribution charge. Oh, it was a scary feeling. If you know anything about drug enhancements, the first one was a 2nd-degree felony, 1 to 15. The second one was a 1st-degree felony, 5 to life. And I was scared.
What year was this? Where are we at right now?
We're in 2017. Okay. 2017. I did 9 months in the Salt Lake County Jail trying to fight that 1st-degree felony down as low as I could. So I was positive I was going to prison. You know what I mean? 2nd distribution charge, no money for lawyers. Positive that I was going to prison. Yeah. And my mom, God bless her soul, always talk about that lady. I always say the same thing in my story. She just never gave up on me. Never gave up on me. Never gave up on my little brothers that were going through addiction. Thank God none of us died. She gets told that all the time. Like people will see her, that know our stories, and be like, "You're so lucky that none of your sons are overdosed." You know what I mean? And it's the truth. It's a sad reality. But I stayed in Salt Lake County Jail for 9 months fighting that down until my mom came in and she's like, "Hey, like you've never had a chance at inpatient treatment. Let's get you some insurance. Let's get you on into inpatient treatment and see if the judge will release you to inpatient treatment." And they did. They released me down the steps in St. George. It's where I started this second love with St. George. I have so many friends in St. George, obviously John, Vanessa, you know what I mean? I went to steps, and I had used in Utah County Jail before they released me. It was September 13th, 2017. It was the last time I used. It's my birthday. Got high on my birthday in jail. Had to, because it was there, right? That's just the sick reality. I had to. I'd probably had like 40 days clean before that, but something came into the jail. It was a birthday. Had a party. Yeah, that was the last time I got high. That was the last time I used a substance. But my mom gets me in the step St. George, and I have a lot of clean time under my belt. They release me. They're telling me, like, you have got to graduate this program or we're going to send you to prison. Like, do not fuck this up or you're going to prison. Like, they looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You will go to prison if you get kicked out of step St. George." And I got down there and I just had some clean time under my belt, but I was still just stupid. Like messing with girls, chasing every girl I could in that building, chasing around, making out in closets, writing love notes so the counselors didn't see. My favorite thing, I hope your listeners get a laugh out of this, but my favorite thing in the ultimate demise was people would get these MP3 players in there, and you could have the staff load them with music. And for some reason, when people graduated and left back to the streets, I wanted their MP3 player. Like I had to have 10 MP3 players in the drawer next to my bed because it was like, the status symbol or whatever. And
They didn't let them keep them?
I mean, you could have, but who wants an MP3 player when you're going back to the streets? You got a cell phone or an iPod at least, not this little not this little cheap Walmart MP3 player with 200 songs. And yeah, they found some love notes. They found the MP3 player. Funny, they put me on this blindfold punishment, and it was on a Friday, and it was my understanding that I would wear the blindfold. I wore that blindfold everywhere. I had to wear the blindfold to the gym. I had to wear the blindfold in groups. I had to wear the blindfold sitting around the house in the guy's house. Everything I did, I had to wear the blindfold because they wanted to teach me to ask for help. And it was my understanding that I was going to wear the blindfold from Friday until Monday. And on Monday, when I went to group, they were going to call my name and I was going to get to take the blindfold off. Well, the joke's on me. They called my name. When I took the blindfold off, there was 9 APMP agents sitting in the middle of the great room steps, and they were taking me back to jail.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So they took me back to jail. They took me to St. George jail, spent 3 days there, and then made my way back to Utah County. And I got back to Utah County and I was just like trying to pull any card. Like at this point, like I said, I've been booked in the Utah County jail more than 25 times. I'm what you would call a jailhouse lawyer. I know the law in and out. So like I'm just trying to pull any card I can to delay. I think I delayed it for about 2 months. So now I've got 9 months clean from Salt Lake County jail. I did 9 months in Salt Lake County jail. I did 30 days in steps. So I never really seen the streets. Now I'm back in Utah County jail for another 2 months. And then my mom's like, hey, let's call steps. I called steps. They'll let you back in there. We just got to get the judge to go with it. Yes, always. She still does. I love this lady, dude. She's a saint. And steps came to the court. She's like, we're going to get the staff to come to the court and tell the judge that you got another bed there. They'll give you one more chance. Courtroom full of family, courtroom full of staff. I got up in front of Christine Johnson at 4th District Court and, hey, I got a bed at steps. They'll give me another chance. Can I go back there? It's only my second time in treatment. Please, I need it. And she said, no, Mr. Castleberry, I will not send you back there. I'm sending you to the Utah State Prison. And man, my mom let out this noise. It kicked me in the gut, the gasp, like, like my baby boy, he's going to prison. You know what I mean? And that was my rock bottom, dude.
I'm sure that was a shock for you too.
Oh, for sure. I thought I had it in the bag. So many times they just, a little slap on the wrist. People weren't going to jail for drug charges and distributions. It was programs before prison at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought for sure they were going to let me go again. And I was going to get to do the same thing I always did. And nope, they sent me to prison. And when you go to Utah, when you go leave court and go back there, they put you in the crazy hole for about 3 days. And then they take you to prison. Yeah.
So what year was that you went to prison?
2018. 2018 now. It's 2018. It's been 9 months and some change.
So how long did you have to spend
in prison? I did 13 months. So I did 9 months, like I said, 9 months in Salt Lake County, a month in steps, and then 13 months. 11 months in prison with the 2 months that I was in Utah County jail knowing that I was going to prison. So altogether, I did about 2 years.
2 years. How were you feeling? Like, what was your mental state at this time? Really, like, because you'd done drugs for so long. Right?
Yeah.
And you'd been in the game for so long.
Yeah.
Now you're 2 years clean. Like, what was your mental state?
Well, the mental state was, my favorite part of my story is in the transport van from Utah County jail to the Utah State Prison. I was looking out the window over Utah Lake, the point of the mountain, all that. And I was sick of my own shit. I told myself that I was going to do whatever it takes, that I didn't have to feel that feeling again, that I was never on that transport bus again, because I knew so many people in the game that were going to prison or, the same thing I did, going to jail and get right back out and doing the same thing and going right back in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. Right. And so like I committed to myself that day. I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to never have to feel this again and never have to go through this again. And so it's like I told the boys, I got to prison and sure, I hung out with gang members. Sure, I was still a knucklehead. Sure, I still had a certain mentality, but I wasn't going to join a gang. I wasn't going to do drugs. Drugs are easy to find in prison. They're expensive as all get out, but they're easy to find. And I just wanted to stay to myself. I wanted to get around some like-minded individuals. I wanted to do a program in prison, and I wanted to do my time and go home. I wasn't about to join a gang to where I had to do a crime for you to get me more time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that was just my mindset. I just worked out hard, gambled a little bit, played cards, whatever, watched sports, and I did my time and got my parole date.
Well, how long were you in then? 13 months, you said?
But 11 months at the point. 11 months at the point. Half of it was in the Conquest program, and then the other half they transferred me down to Beaver County Jail to do the program down there.
So now you get out.
Now I get out. My mom again, right before my parole date. Like, I get my parole date. My mom again. My little brothers were in a program that was kicking off here in Utah County called Building Beginnings. And what Building Beginnings is they get you into a sober living and an 18-month treatment program. And keep in mind, like, my parole wasn't contingent on me doing a program. They didn't tell me I had to go do another program, but I wanted that change. And it was handed to me. It was my little brothers and some friends had paved that way. And so I seen what it was like. And so I jumped all over it. 18-month treatment program, 18-month IOP, and sober living. And, I still had some stupid behaviors, but like, I had changed a lot. Like, as soon as I got out, the snowball effect of change just started happening. Like, I changed the music I listened to. I went from listening to hip hop and angry music to listening to reggae about peace and love because it just made me feel good. I learned a lot of great things in that 18-month IOP program. I learned how to be a man. Like, this is when Kaylee came in the picture. I was 4 days out of prison and started talking to Kaylee on Facebook, and we took the relationship went really, really well at first. Like, she was still in active addiction, but still the communication was there from the jump. Like, the trust was built quick.
Yeah. So you guys actually met on Facebook?
Yeah. So she as she shared in her story, she had a set of twins that died like a couple days before I started talking to her. And I seen the video of her twins dying. She was the same far along, like 5-ish months pregnant. They passed, like the same experience that I went through. So that's how we bonded. Like, we started talking about that experience, and I started sharing my experience, and we bonded that way. And we talked really healthy. Like, there was no flirting at first. You know what I mean? Like, it really became a friendship. And, her baby dad, the guy she was dating, was still in prison. And she even told me on the phone, she's like, "Hey, I gotta pump the brakes here a little bit because I have a boyfriend." And I was like, okay, I was a little butthurt at first, but I was like, okay. And then she called me 2 weeks later and she's like, "Hey, I broke up with my boyfriend. You want to hang out?" Well, I had this rule in treatment that you had to bring, if you started dating somebody, they didn't frown on dating like some treatment centers, but if you did start dating, you had to bring her down to the group. You had to get your peers' approval. You had to get your therapist's approval.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. But she was all over it. She started coming down and by God, she started getting some help for herself. And it was free to her. It was billed to my insurance, but she started to get some help, and it changed. Yeah. And it changed her. And I took it serious. Like, I stayed in sober living for 15 months, and 13 months out of that, we were dating. I rode the UTA to and from group to her house. I would see her on my free time. We spent all our free time together, but I was following the rules. I was really trying to do it right. Yeah, for sure. It's crazy.
And listeners who are watching, Kaylee is Sean.
Yes.
So that's who he's referring to, and that's how they met. So there's their story.
Yes.
So you guys started dating.
Yeah.
She started going with you. You guys both started getting clean. When did it kind of start snowballing into, hey, we want to kind of keep this relationship going, and how can we start helping?
I'm glad you asked that, because if there's anybody struggling that listens to this, one of the greatest things I was ever told by my therapist and by a peer was, when you're ready to leave sober living and you get the idea that, hey, it's time that I go, you need to stay a little bit longer. You need to stay until somebody else comes to you and says, "You know what? I think you got it figured out. I think it's time for you to go. I think it's time to move on." Yeah. And that my time came. My therapist was like, "Hey, I think you guys can move in together. I think it would work." My peers, my sober living manager, "Yeah, you guys would be okay if you went and got an apartment together." And so we got an apartment down the line from friends. You know what I mean? We got the hookup on an apartment, and we moved in. It was a great time. In the meantime, I got to share this. So while I was in sober living towards the end, I got invited to a pancake fundraiser breakfast. It was for the RISE program down at the jail. They're still a in jail treatment program now. They do that every year, don't they? Yeah, they do that pancake fundraiser, and it was like maybe the first or second one. I got invited to it by a dude on Facebook, and we're sitting at a table eating pancakes, and he tells me, "Hey, I'm trying to start this Facebook group. I see how your recovery's been the last 15 months. I'm trying to start this Facebook group. I want you to help me. We're going to start this Facebook group. We're going to call it Addicts Fighting Back." And Addicted We Stand was taken off. I don't know if you've ever heard of Addicted We Stand. Really, at the time, it was really similar to what we do now. They're not so hot now, but at the time they were really popular, and it was a place on Facebook where you could share your experience. You could share what you were going through. People could share things that they were going through. And there was people that would comment resources or talk you through it. You know what I mean? And it blew up. It blew up. Like, we went from 50 members to thousands quick. Now we're at like 5,500, but it went to a couple thousand, and we just started getting together as the core group. Like, we started going out to the streets and helping the homeless. Like, we would just ask people for donations, and we would gather these donations, and we would go out and we would cook them a meal out of our own pocket. We would go and buy some chili ingredients or soup ingredients. We had this big soup dinner one day out at the park for the homeless, and so many people from Utah County showed up. We had judges there, like felony judges, come and help us serve food to the homeless, and like, it just became our thing. You know what I mean? So we started doing it once a month, and we started just having these events, these get-togethers with people in recovery, because we're all like pretty popular in the recovery community, anyways. Because we like recovery softball's huge here in Utah, and so like we got this like family of people from the softball community and the sober volleyball community that started coming to our events, and we just started doing that, right? And Kaylee was involved. I'm involved. I'm an admin of the Facebook group, and Jason DeGraw, he was the founder of this idea, the guy that I met at the pancake fundraiser. He gets this core 7 together, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to make you guys board members. We're going to apply for nonprofit status. You're going to be the vice president. You're going to be the secretary. You're going to be the treasurer. The other guys are just going to be in the board for like voting purposes. Like, if we ever have to vote on something, there's got to be an odd number." And we applied for nonprofit status, and he's like, all of us were like, they're not going to give a nonprofit to a bunch of junkies and addicts and former and felons. And that letter came in the mail, man. It was so cool. So cool. So now we're a 501c3. I've got an apartment with Kaylee, and she gets pregnant, and that's where Willow comes in the picture. She already has her. He's 11 now, Kingston. I like to think that I did a pretty good job of raising him until she got pregnant with Willow. Like, I put a roof over his head. I worked full time for the first time in my life. Like I told the boys at the school, like, I started at $10 an hour out of prison. I worked at $10 an hour for a year, and then I went to $13 an hour. It wasn't nothing. It was enough to go out to eat. It was enough to pay my sober living. It was enough to pay, my bills. Kaylee's got a job, and we had a good hookup on that apartment, and it just like kept snowballing into greater and greater and greater opportunities. And around the time that Willow was being born, I got the idea from Jason DeGraw and a couple other friends to go be an electrician. You should go be an electrician. You should go back to school and be an electrician. And that I did.
Yeah. Trade is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Anytime, and there's so many people in the trade community who have gone through rehabilitation, right? Themselves.
Yeah.
So Custom Electrical down in Sanpete County.
Yeah.
The owner down there, he takes people who are out of jail all the time. He trains them.
Yeah.
He gives them a job. He only gives them one opportunity, though. He does not.
Yeah.
It's a back kind of thing. He does not let you mess up. He rotates people in, because if someone messes up, he's like, "Hey, I got to get rid of you. I got to get rid of you. I got to bring someone else in." But he really pulls it. And in trade, it's really cool because so many people have that opportunity. And what's funny is people who don't like traditional school, like myself, right? I'm a principal. I don't like traditional school that much. They have so many skills and talents that can be used in the world, right? And AI will never take over it. It's always going to have to be a hands-on thing.
Who do you think is going to wire the AI buildings in their data centers? Right?
So that is awesome that you went through trade. 100% respect.
Well, building beginnings was valuable because that $10 an hour job and that $13 an hour job, it was remodeling. It was guys in recovery that had started their own business and giving guys like me a chance and teaching them remodeling, painting, drywall, a little bit of electrical, you know what I mean? Like here and there, just dabbling in a few things. And so that's one of the things that kind of I like to do was, I knew how to change an outlet. I knew how to change out a switch. I didn't know why they worked. And Kaylee's pregnant with Willow. I go back to school for electrical. I dove in head first. And then, Willow came in the world. It was my second chance of being a dad. I'll tell you, man, being a girl dad's so cool. Yeah, it's so cool, dude. It makes me so vulnerable. It makes me so soft.
You open up a lot more as a girl dad.
Dude, it healed so many parts of me that I didn't even know need healing. So many parts. And I'm a great dad today, dude. I'm a great dad. Like I was thinking about it on the drive over here. Like I get so much peace knowing that my daughter never has to see me high again. You know what I mean? And B, like I'm a dad today that she can count on. I'm never going to let her down. She's never going to be that kid sitting on the porch waiting for me to come pick her up and I don't show up, or counting on her fingers how many times she got a Christmas present, a birthday present. You know what I mean? Sure, she's spoiled to shit. I'm a blue collar dad. I'm a gas station dad. I buy her everything she wants, and it's kind of detrimental sometimes, but God, I just feel so good. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So now went back into trade. That's what you're doing now?
Yeah. I'm a full-time electrician. I'm 3.5 years into school. The company that I started with, they made me a lead within 8 months. Like I was in a van leading a crew of 3, wiring these little track homes here, like the Arrive homes, stuff like that. They made me a lead. They taught me how to do that quick, like pound out houses. You know what I mean? And Jason DeGraw, he was the best man at my wedding. He was the founder of he's the founder of Addicts Fighting Back. He's best friend in the whole world. Like he's the one that instilled the idea to become an electrician. And he kept telling me, hey, get to a point where you learn, and then we're going to steal you over to my company eventually. Like eventually you'll come work for us. And through softball, I met his cousin Brady, who's my boss now. And I got in his ear, hey, when are you going to steal me? Let me come on with you guys. Eventually it happened. Now the opportunity, the way I'm taking care of it, the company I work for now is incredible. The things that he does for us. I make great money, and he takes care of us. We work hard. And a lot of us are in recovery. You know what I mean?
Well, the recovery community is probably one of the best, close-knit communities out there.
Yeah.
I think I say it every podcast, and the people who are watching, who actually do watch the podcast, they'll be like, did you do that? But it's really true because people, like, number one, you guys understand each other. You understand the struggles. Yeah. You understand what people are going through. There's a lot of compassion. And when Brooke Rushton came in, right?
Love her. We actually stole her and made her a member of the Addicts Fighting Back Service Committee. That's the committee that goes out to feed the homeless. Yeah. I asked her to be a member because
I see her and Mark do.
Since her brother died, she has been all in on the recovery community, everything she can get her hands in. You know what I mean? And that's the people that we have on Addicts Fighting Back. And that's why it thrives, is because we all put in footwork, because it's a great act of service. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, even going back to what we were saying before, how you guys accepted being the Addicts Fighting Back.
Yeah.
I see the posts all the time. People posting, hey, I need help with this. I need somewhere to go. I need somewhere for a family member to go. And people are responding
instantly. That's the idea, is if you're struggling and you get on there and openly, it takes a lot to admit you're struggling. Yeah. And you get in there and say that you're struggling with something. That is the model that we've built, is 100 of our members are going to jump in and offer you help. If not, the admins are, you know what I mean? Because it's given us a purpose. It helps us stay clean too, because now I have a purpose. Like, you know how many times in my recovery I have thought I can't relapse because I can't let my team down. I don't want to give up what I got with Addicts Fighting Back. I don't want to give up what I got with my family, for sure. I don't want to give up Kaylee. I don't want to give up Kingston. I don't want to give up Willow, for damn sure. But I ain't going to give up what I have with Addicts Fighting Back. You know what I mean? It gives me a purpose. And it's all on the side too. Yeah.
And talk about a little bit, and Kaylee's going to come in and do a podcast separately, but talk about you, Sarah, a little bit. You guys had that New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
And that's the first time we met. I was able to come to that and meet you guys, and you guys took me on a tour. Talk about what you guys are doing now, besides the Addicts Fighting Back.
Yeah.
What else are you doing to help the recovery community?
So, yeah.
Kaylee's more involved with
So Kaylee, so USARA is Addicts Fighting Back on a scale times 100. They're a huge nonprofit that is able to employ people. They treat their employees great. They have a couple offices. They have like an office in St. George, an office in Ogden, an office in Salt Lake, an office in Provo, and now Kaylee's the lead of that office. They have offices all over Utah. It's Utah Support Advocates for Recovery Awareness. They are the bomb. They are the ones, like the main people at USARA are the ones that are on Capitol Hill when there's stuff in session, trying to get the policies and procedures changed for addicts, and how they go to jail and what happens when they get out of jail, and just from A to Z. They are the ones that are like, really making a change. And actually tonight is Evan Doan. He is one of the bigwigs that I just mentioned. He is starting his campaign for Senate tonight. They're at a coffee house up in Salt Lake partying, kicking off his campaign. He's going to run for Senate, and that's what we need. Like, something's got to give here in Utah. Like,
I think everywhere, to be honest.
Like Utah is, because of how religion based it is, like there's the stigma, I think, here sticks out a lot more. You know what I mean? The shame, the stigma, and Utah has a great way of sweeping their problems underneath the rug. It's not happening here. You know what I mean?
So USARA is great, and so anybody who's watching, like, if you guys need help, check out Addicts Fighting Back on the community. I've never gone through recovery myself. They've accepted me into it. Help each other out like crazy. And then if you're in Utah County or Salt Lake County, jobs,
yeah,
you help people.
Yeah.
So check out USARA if you need help also, because there are so many resources out there. You just have to find them. I mean, one guy, I'm going to give a big shout out to Penny Lopez.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And one of the things that I asked him was like, hey, someone wants a podcast with me.
Yeah.
She won't go on camera. And he said,
yeah. Yeah.
Like, find the resources, find people who can help you, because there are resources out there.
Yeah, USARA is 100% free. You can walk in their doors with no insurance, not a dime in your pocket, and get help. They have so many tools and so many resources. And same with Addicts Fighting Back. All it is us sharing the things that we've learned in our recovery that's helped us. Like me and a couple other board members have like done the work to network with other people that are in treatment center, that work in treatment centers. You know what I mean? So like, if you jump on Addicts Fighting Back and say, I'm struggling with heroin, I need to detox, I'm going to refer you to a place that specializes in heroin detox or alcohol detox or benzodiazepine detox, methamphetamine detox, whatever. Like, I know already a handful of places that I can point you in the direction of that is going to tailor your needs. That's what I've prided myself in learning, like, in networking. That's what I do. When we go to events that are multiple organizations and treatment centers together, I go introduce myself to them. What do you have to offer? What insurance do you take? What do you specialize in? Is it dual diagnosis? Is it addiction and mental health? You know what I mean? So that way I have an arsenal of tools in my belt that I can give to somebody who's struggling. Yeah. Right?
I've noticed that in the recovery community too. A lot of people want to do that. Like what you guys are doing is incredible.
Yeah.
You guys are doing that. But like John Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Mutual friend. He does a lot of people who stored a lot of trauma in their muscles. He
does athletic
training and everything. But he does
built like a Greek god. Love the dude.
Vanessa McNeil, right?
Yeah.
I podcasted with her before. Yeah. She's going into therapy. She wants to be not a psychologist, but she wants to go into psychiatry.
Yeah. Psychology. One of the two.
She wants to be a therapist, but she wants to help people who don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people go through the service or the motions, and then they say, I want to help someone.
Yeah.
I see that a lot there. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
For what you guys are doing. I mean, so many people. The fun part about coming to meet was you introduced me to so many other people, and they were just so, hey, how you doing, right?
Yeah.
And the first thing you said was, hey, this guy's got a podcast, and everyone's like, I want to tell my story, And so it's really cool how everybody just gets excited about recovery. They open up more. Mm-hmm. They have that community behind them, and now they're seeing that success, that they can be successful, because I think it's so much more open now. Like you were saying, Utah still has some sweep it under the rug, but it's so much more open now to where people can talk about it.
I can't speak for everybody, but I know that this is why everybody does what they do, is because for me, I remember when there was a time when I didn't think anybody else in the world loved me. My mom, absolutely. My family, absolutely. But a stranger on the streets, I had no friends. I had people that wanted what I had in my pocket and that said they were my friends, but they would stab me in the back in the blink of an eye. You know what I mean? There was a time when I had no love. When I was sitting in that prison cell, I legitimately thought, I am never going to feel any love again. I am never going to feel anything soft again. It's all concrete. It's all hard chairs. Like, I'm never going to feel this again. And my life today, the love in my life is beyond anything in my wildest dreams. Not just Kaylee and my son and my daughter. You know what I mean? Like, of course they love me. And of course that's something beyond my wildest dreams. But like the love that I have from my community members, the love that I have from judges, and me and Kaylee on Christmas went and ate dinner at a public defender's house. She invited us into her home. We went and helped her family. They wanted to do a Christmas outreach, and we went and showed them the streets, and they were blown away that we had come from there. And this is what we do now. And they invited us in their home for dinner, and we went and ate dinner at their house on 2 days before Christmas, and then went to a church and watched them sing for Christmas. That's stuff, you know what I mean? Like, that's because of the love. And again, like you said, it's because us addicts, like, there's in active addiction, like you don't feel love. The drugs shut that off. And so when you get clean and you start, like, love is just so powerful. I truly believe it's a cure for anything.
Because people need that love.
Yeah, it's crucial.
People feel that way.
It's crucial.
So is there anything else you want to tell the audience? I mean, great story. What else would you want to tell them, like, right now that would kind of...
It's so cliche, and I mean, you hear it everywhere. If you're struggling, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to admit that you're not okay. It's okay to ask for help. Because I know when I was, the little knucklehead that I was, I never wanted to ask anybody for help. My pride wouldn't let me ask anybody for help. It was a sign of weakness. In prison, you don't ask anybody for help. You don't want to show anybody that you're weak. You know what I mean? Being weak will get you killed or whatever. Just be honest with somebody. It's so powerful to be honest with another human being. It's, that vulnerability to be honest with another human being will solve so many of your problems. You don't know what opportunity is ahead of you just by saying, hey, I'm struggling. What somebody's willing to give, what somebody's willing to do for you. So just that one message it doesn't make you less of a person to say, hey, I'm not okay. Because just us as men, like the men's suicide rate that's going on right now, because we, like, so many people I know, they struggle with addiction for so long because they were taught that it's not okay to cry. It's not okay to be vulnerable. Right. And like, just in the world today, just like, we just need more of that. We need more vulnerability. We need more honesty with each other. We're better off together. Yeah. You can't do it alone. Be quiet, man. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You can't cry.
Yeah. I did a podcast with someone who, she does a lot. She never went through it. City. Exactly what she said. Men's suicide rates are so high up. She has a special place because she knows they need that.
Yeah.
And so it's a big thing. So again, guys, if you need help, if you're struggling, check out USARA. Check out Addicts Fighting Back on Facebook. You guys need a community.
Can I say one more thing real quick? Addicts Fighting Back on Facebook has 2 different pages. The one you want is the private group. Just hit invite. Somebody will let you in. You want the private group. The reason why we keep it private is because you might not reach out if you know that a particular someone's going to see. And so it has 5,500 members, and it's a safe place. You're never going to get shamed. If you get shamed, we're going to boot that person out of the group instantly. Like, it is going to go to the board chat. We're going to boot them out. Go to the private group. Just the addictsfightingback.com is just, stuff that we do. But yeah, you want the private group for sure.
Private group for Addicts Fighting Back. Thanks, John. Thanks so much for coming, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Heading all the way down.
All the way. We'll do this again.
Oh, for sure.
The story's always evolving.
Exactly. Thank you guys again. This time, we'll see you guys later.